Greetings, everyone. For every situation in your life, there should be a takeaway moment, if it is good or bad. And so I'm going to share some takeaway moment for me as it relates to Chrissy and her husband's situation. And not to belabor that situation, but it's a trending topic. And a lot of persons are going to just talk for a few days and they're not going to learn anything from it. Number one, here's what I have to say. There seems to be a kind of curse on the YouTube family. Whenever these families come out and people love them so much, I am one of those persons that love family vlogs. I love to watch channels that are family oriented, especially when there are children involved. And so I am a fan of all these people on social media, whether they're Jamaican or American, who have a family unit that they share with people. Now, as it relates to the current trending topic, with people talking about, how disappointed they are in, the husband, or how they feel empathy for the wife, there seems to be so much hypocrisy. It is just ridiculous. First and foremost, as Jamaicans, we all understand that our country people have very little respect and regard for marriage. Okay? The idea that a young girl or an older woman can be having an affair with somebody that span decades and something that is often glorified. I have seen on many channels people hosting podcast or having people call in their show and hear them talking about being side gal or side man. You see all these jokes. See, these things are funny when it's happening to other persons, or it's funny when we're here promoting people to endorse these kind of things. Now, here's a question I have for a lot of these fake people who pretend like they care about Chrissy. Sometimes when they were doing those vlogs or those pranks, how many of you told them to stop it? How many of you said there is life and power in the tongue? How many of you said do not do those videos, because when you do, what you're doing is from your mouth to God's ears and you will manifest the things that you're saying? Now, I've always thought that every couple that does pranks about cheating are just sharing what they're going through. Nobody is going to be doing these kind of vlogs unless these are the kind of problems they're having. So I'm hoping that the takeaway for this couple, regardless of what they plan or what they agree to do in the future, is that they don't do any more of these. My problem with people is they wait for the problem before they encourage people. I'm going to mention King and Shay because I used to watch him a lot back in the day. And OMG, these pranks were so distasteful. And I remember doing a video where I spoke to that couple and said, be careful, be careful, be careful of these pranks that you're doing. Because what you're doing is you're opening these portals to invite this situation. And we see what happened with King and Shay. No disrespect, King and Shay. Just making a point here. Just looking at this situation going forward to say, you know what? If this happens to be the situation you're facing as women, and I think this is why the women talk about these cheating pranks with their partner, the husbands try to justify that by making light of it. And I'm going to say to the women, do not allow these men to engage you in these cheating prank scenarios, because what they would essentially be doing is pouring salt into your wound. If the men are going to put you in a situation to act out what they have done to hurt you or devastate you, that is not respectful. But for that also, to further that, that is not kind. These men would know that you have been hurt by them doing this and subject you to that situation where they're showing the whole world what they have done and expect you to accept it. Do not accept these things in your lives, people. Now, even though I'm saying there seem to be a curse on the YouTube family situation, and I can name so many people, Latoya forever. Here's one of the things I always also notice: as these individuals grow and they build their homes, or start to increase in their wealth, I don't think it's just because they're on YouTube. I think it's just nature already, that once you start to climb up, the problems will come. But I'm going to say it to the people: this is why it's very important for you to stay humble. To stay humble. And the more success you receive in your life, the more you have to draw closer to the Most High. So the pranks, if you're going to be doing pranks, make sure you do pranks that when you open your mouth and you speak and they come to life, it's something that is going to bless you. I've seen people do pranks that they have AIDS. Do you believe this kind of thing? Doing pranks that, people are sick and dying. Are you insane? And of course, I want to address, these counselors, these psychiatrists who are doing these evaluation on these situations when people are going through it. Eventually, they will have to seek help or counsel for people who are trained to do that. I'm going to also touch a little bit on the Wally British situation as it relates to her friend. They're going through. Wally didn't do anything wrong. We're now living in a time where people will lose their lives. When you look in Jamaica and you see the situation of people just, disappearing, losing their 3 points, as they would say, because they didn't keep their mouth shut. You have to be very careful how you meddle into people's lives, how you give people advice, or you think it's in your best interest to go and report what you see happening in other person's life. Because I have seen and heard of people who lost their lives because a man felt like, the friend was telling the woman to leave, or, giving the woman shelter because she was in a violent situation. And that man goes to that household and destroy everybody's, you know, life in that space because someone opened their mouth and tell somebody what they should do, and the man feel like that's not your place. So as a woman who have gone through, situations in my past, I always make it my business not to involve other persons in my decision to leave or to remove myself from negative situations. Because some men, they don't know what they have until they lose it. And a lot of these men will not take responsibility for their action. So when they get involved or do things to their partner, and the partner says, okay, that's it. This is it. I'm putting a stop to this. And I'm no longer going to allow you to violate me in any way. These men will not take responsibility. They always look for someone to blame. They say it's your fault, it's her fault, it's his fault. They don't want to take responsibility for the role that they play. And so Wally is correct when she said, I didn't want to be the one to break these people's empire. I would be the same way. I've said that many times. Okay. I also see there's a humane side of the story, that she heard a girl in trouble, and she tried to help. But this is something I also have to say. We have to be very mindful about who we try to help, because sometimes with your good intention, you end up harming yourself, harming your reputation, harming your relationship with other people because you try to do the right thing. So I'm not here to bash anybody, as they go through their circumstances. I just want to say I can't take the hypocrisy with our people. Our people promote infidelity. Jamaican, I would say 80% of them have no problems with interfering in other person's relationship. So I don't know where this is coming from. I've seen people do call-in shows, and when I hear the people calling and talking about them being side pieces and whatever, let me tell you, any man who you hear find those conversations to be so interesting and so funny are men themselves who cannot be trusted. I'm going to leave it at that. The takeaway from everybody is to say, when it comes to trust, The only person you should be putting your trust in is the Most High. And when you meet someone and you have a good relationship with this person, and you sit down and you say, here are my expectations. And if you violate, this is the consequences. And once they violate, you can't be flippy floppy and going all over the place. You have to say, there must be a repercussion for your behavior, the things that you do, inappropriate stuff that you do, or the choices you make. At the end of the day, this couple is going to do what is best for their family unit. But I want to say to the people who are out here acting like they care about these individuals, and yet they would never tell them, listen, I don't like this. What you're doing is not my business, but if you put your stuff out here and I see it, I can give my opinion. And you can encourage persons. Don't wait until everything is all over social media and everybody's having a field day trying to make a buck here and there for a story, acting like they care when they clearly do not care. Also, I always feel like you should get involved with somebody and marry someone who love you and not who you love. But the truth is, there are times when, someone picks you and you're not in love with that person, and you're thinking, I'm going to grow to love this person. But sometimes, after they give you a whole bunch of children and they see that all of a sudden they're not looking at you anymore, they need a younger, a better version. A lot of men only want what they cannot have. The moment you reject them, all of a sudden they're going to focus their energy on getting you, and once they get you, OMG, they've lost interest and they're looking for a younger version, or they're looking for somebody else. I'm not sure what is their mind process or whatever. I read a book some years ago, and it's called White Oleander, and that stuck with me for years. That lady was not in love with that guy, and he pursued her. And when she finally gave in to him and fell in love with him, he dumped her. So, listen, it was a very disturbing book. And what she did in the end, she ended up in prison. The moral of that story is that it's a choice we make, a decision you're gonna have to make as to who you grow with and build with and fall in love and all that stuff with. But when you enter these relationships, make sure you understand that a lot of men who chase after you for years and you reject these men, it's almost that it's like you give them a fuel to make sure that they get you, and after they get you, they punish you. I've listened to stories with CMR and Chrissy, how he pursued her and how she was not interested. And after he got her and won her like a prize, then all of a sudden he goes out to do things to jeopardize their relationship. He's not alone. A lot of men are like that. So, don't play hard to get, because some of these men, when you do that, they will do everything to get you, and then they'll punish you. Okay. If you're a beautiful woman, don't feel like, oh, he pursued me and now he's rejecting me, and you take that personal. This is not about you, it's about that man. And in the meantime, if you've had your heart broken, if you've been disappointed by a man or a woman, just understand that it's human nature. It's not a personal thing to you. If he's done it to you, he'll do it to someone else. Just look at that experience, learn from it, and grow. And now is the time when you hear people talking about sidekick, and if you're a side piece yourself, you say to yourself, where's my value? Why would I allow myself to be subjected to this? And if and when I become the main chick, as they would say, you know, am I going to feel insecure knowing that this is how I gain my position? And the way you get the man or the woman for that matter, that's how you're going to keep them. Now, I'm certainly not saying this has anything to do with the couple that we're talking about in the last few days. I'm just saying to myself, sometimes if you're not interested in somebody and they're pursuing you relentlessly, just be aware of the fact that maybe one day they might be angry at you because you made them work so hard to get you. I know it makes sense to some of you. Stay blessed, everyone.